Hey, how's it going? Another video from the woods. This is a video on the topic of cheerleaders. Now this video is really intended to be viewed not only by people with ADHD but by people who are close to those with ADHD, so family members, particularly loved ones. Because of the way the ADHD brain is wired, so the neuroanatomy of the ADHD brain, people with ADHD have very little control over the issues that are generally seen in those with ADHD. Procrastination, time management issues, impulsivity, poor emotional regulation. There's a very long list, and for anyone who has ADHD or for anyone who is close to someone with ADHD, you'll no doubt be familiar with a lot of these symptoms. Now, the really important thing to understand when it comes to ADHD is that, as I said before, people with ADHD really have very little control over these symptoms. Now, there are methods that can be put in place in order to manage a lot of those symptoms, and the purpose of my videos is to give people tools and techniques that can help them. Now, I've learned to manage the majority of my symptoms, and because of that I've managed to build myself a happy, calm and organised life. That's not to say that I don't struggle, because I do. I struggle every single day. If I let any of the strategies and methods slip, I really start to struggle significantly more. However, before people gain a full understanding of what it means to have ADHD, things can be very, very difficult and very chaotic, not only for the person with ADHD, but for the people close to them. And so, that is why it is essential that the people around those with ADHD are as understanding as possible. They need to understand that having ADHD is not a choice. The symptoms of ADHD are not a choice, and the behaviours associated with those symptoms are not a choice. It is immensely frustrating for those close to those with ADHD when it comes to seeing those behaviours and issues and what might be seen as deficits, and you might feel that you want to shake that person and say, all you have to do is go to bed earlier, get up earlier, and then you won't be late for things. But it's not that simple. The ADHD brain is wired differently to non-ADHD brains, and so understanding and empathy is absolutely vital if you are to assist a person with ADHD in gaining control of their life. And when that person gains control of their life, it benefits not only that person but every single person around them. And that brings me to the topic in hand: cheerleaders. Now, I'm not talking about people bouncing around waving pom-poms cheering for their team. What I'm talking about is a person or people close to a person with ADHD showing only empathy, patience and understanding when the person with ADHD does things that the people around them find frustrating. Every time that person messes up and they do something that is ADHD related, it's very, very important that the people closest to them show patience, show empathy, show understanding. So basically what they need to do is they need to become that person's cheerleader. So not only do they need to show understanding and empathy, but they also need to actively encourage that person. So I'll give you an example. If someone is consistently late and that affects a member of the family, or a member of the family finds it frustrating that that person is consistently late and, for example, comes home having had a warning from their boss at work, or they get in trouble at school because of their poor timekeeping, the correct and necessary response from the person close to that person with ADHD is to say, you know what, it's okay, it's absolutely fine, I know that you wanted to get there on time, so how's about I help you tomorrow and let's work out a way that we can get you to school or to work on time. So what you're doing there is basically you are showing that person you understand, you're displaying empathy, and you're not making them feel awful about having messed up, because believe me, that person will be bashing themselves over the head. Their internal dialogue will be something like this: why am I so stupid? Why do I always mess up? Why can't I just get to work or to school on time? I'm such an idiot, I'm so stupid. So if someone close to you is saying things like that to you, it's very, very painful, and it does not serve to solve the situation. All it does is further reduces that person's self-esteem, and what that does with a person with ADHD is sends them further into a spiral of chaos. When you're feeling really low when you have ADHD, and when you feel that the people around you think you're stupid, think you're worthless, think you're disorganized, think you can't sort yourself out, what that does is it makes it less likely that you are able to put tools and techniques in place to help yourself. If those around you show understanding, what that does is it allows you the space in your mind to start to take positive action. So the first step to helping with someone with ADHD, get their life on track, get things organized, is to show understanding, be a cheerleader, and offer them assistance in terms of making sure that things go smoothly in their life. So I'll give you another example. I used to live with an ex-partner, ex-girlfriend, and we had a housemate. And that housemate said to me once that he knew that every time I left the house, I would come back into the house a minimum of 3 times to pick up something that I'd forgotten. And that was absolutely true. Sometimes I would go back into the house as many as 7 times to get something I'd forgotten. So if my girlfriend at the time had found this frustrating and had chosen to get angry with me every time I went back in the house, what would have happened is 7 trips to the house probably would have turned into 9 or 10, because I would have gone into a state of panic and I would have been incapable of working out as we left the house in the car, or as I got in the car, what else I might need. So it would have been totally counterproductive. Fortunately, that didn't happen. I was with somebody patient. We didn't know I had ADHD, but we knew that would happen every time. And so she would sit and roll her eyes and smile and say, it's okay. And I would still forget things, but gradually over time I got slightly better at it. And these days I rarely have to go back into the house more than once. So I'm much better. Usually I don't have to go back at all. Before I was diagnosed, everybody in my family would find it very frustrating dealing with my ADHD related behaviour. But since I've been diagnosed, my family have shown nothing but total understanding and empathy. They've helped me a lot with getting my business set up, and along the way I made a lot of ADHD related mistakes, and every single time they've smiled, they said it doesn't matter, and they have helped me. What's happened over time is I've needed less and less assistance to get my life in order, because I use all of the tools and techniques that I'm going to be talking about in these videos. I've got control of my life and things are going very well, so I make a lot less mistakes because I'm no longer frustrated with myself, I'm no longer down on myself, and I also know that I'm not going to be disappointing those around me and frustrating those around me, because they don't show any disappointment or frustration if I make mistakes. And what that does is that serves to make me feel more and more calm, more and more in control. Whereas before, when people would get frustrated with me, that would make me feel worse about myself, it would reduce my self-esteem, and because I was in a constant state of anxiety and panic, worried about messing up, worried about disappointing everybody, I would make more and more mistakes. So it's a vicious cycle. So if you have ADHD, find somebody who's very close to you, who's in a position to help you. Sit them down and ask them to be your cheerleader. Show them this video or just explain what you need. And if you're close to somebody with ADHD, be their cheerleader. Show nothing but understanding and empathy, no matter how much they mess up. And gradually over time, what you'll see is that they will make less and less mistakes. They'll struggle less and less because you understand what's going on and you are truly there for them. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful. Any questions or comments, please comment below. And if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much. I'll see you soon.